The Jerry Tarkanian years at UNLV started back in '73. There would be 19 years total, 12 NCAAs, 4 Final Fours, and a national title in 1990. But tonight, Tark is not the home coach. He's the visiting coach as he brings his Bulldogs of Fresno State to Las Vegas. Monday, presented by Bud Light, continues. The building doesn't bear his name, but maybe it should, as Tark's Dogs take on Billy Bano's Runnin' Rebels. I'm Bob Carpenter. Welcome to Vegas. And think about what it would be like if Dean Smith left North Carolina and then brought another ACC team into the Dean Dome. That's about what it's like for Jerry Tarkanian right here tonight. Hard to believe it's happening, but Derek Dickey, he calls this his penance for getting back into coaching. It's got to be a strange night for Tark.
I think it is, Bob. And what Tark says is that he really doesn't want to play this game, but he says if his players cannot get up for this game, they're at the wrong place.
I'll tell you one guy who can get up, Keon Clark of UNLV. He almost went to Fresno. He's a very big intimidator now for the Rebels.
Absolutely. He's able to change the complexion of the game because he can block shots. Terrific timing inside. Keon has the ability to go from one side to the other, but if you're not careful, he will take the ball right through you.
A damaging loss at Air Force over the weekend might cost Fresno State an NCAA bid. Derek, they were 9 out of 32 from three-point range.
Well, they need better leadership, and Dominic Young is the man who can provide that. Saturday, he shot 4 out of 17 from three-point range, 15 points, but he's got to find a way to put the ball in the basket.
And despite all the Tark talk, this is a very important game in the WAC Pacific Division. Fresno State is 8-3, UNLV is 7-4.
ESPN's presentation of NCAA basketball is brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And by Ford Taurus, a look you've never seen from a name you know well.
We're not exactly on the Strip, but this might be the biggest show in town tonight. Jerry Tarkanian has just received an extended standing ovation. It's Fresno and UNLV. And Derek Dickey, not to be lost in all the excitement of what's going on with Tark coming back. This is a very important ball game for these two clubs, not only in regard to their divisional race, but also seeding for the postseason tournament.
Well, Bob, the first 4 teams in the WAC conference get buys, and both teams are trying to vie for that position. Right now, Fresno State and UNLV are both behind, trailing Hawaii, who is 10-2 in the WAC.
That's Billy Bano. And there's Jerry Tarkanian during the ovation about 3 minutes ago. It lasted for quite a while. He waved to the crowd, and they love him here. He's the man who put Rebel basketball on the map. And who knows, maybe someday this will be the Tark Center. Let's have a look at our McDonald's starting lineups for tonight. Tark in his second year at Fresno. Damon Forney is his power forward. Long arms, a great wingspan. He can really block some shots. And Chris Aaron is a guy a lot of folks back in the East know about. Out of Fall River, Mass, and played at Boston College. And he gets the start at guard tonight. And we will see plenty of Dominic Young. Tyrone Nesby, described as a world-class athlete, a good pro prospect, and he really is the key to the success of UNLV, a club that is 15-7 this year. And Billy Bano is in his second year. He, of course, worked at UMass. He worked at Kansas, at Seton Hall, working for the likes of Calipari, Larry Brown, and P.J. Carlissimo. Just over the 500 mark. He has a new 4-year contract to deal with. He's the 10th UNLV head coach in 39 years. Jerry Tarkanian took his club to the NIT last year. They may end up there again this year, Derek, and that would be disappointing because expectations in Fresno were very, very high, and he's the reason they've never beaten UNLV, by the way.
Well, this is a big game. You mentioned that, Bob, but for Fresno State to come in here under this atmosphere with Jerry Tarkanian at the helm, this could be a very big win for them to give them momentum as they wind down this season.
Scott Thornley, Bill Gracie, and Steve Welmer, the officiating crew tonight. The lights are back up at full strength. The Rebels in their home white and the Bulldogs in red have the opening tip. And it'll be Chris Herron running their offense. They like to push it at every opportunity, but Derek, they have not been nearly the team on the road that they are at home.
Two totally different faces from this Bulldog team, Bob, and they want to try to get inside and dominate something early because they're a great perimeter team. They shoot the ball very well from outside.
Damon Forney the miss. Warren Rosegreen of UNLV was the last man to touch it. There's Rosegreen, who's got tremendous upper body strength. We've got some guys here tonight who can really leave the floor.
Leave the floor in a hurry if you're talking about Keon Clark. He's a terrific leaper. Once he comes in the game, he will change the complexion of the ball going to the basket.
That was Rasan Smith, the senior center, with the left-hander. This is Mark Dickel running the UNLV offense. They, too, a transition team. Look at that rebound by Rosegreen, and that forces the Fresno foul on Damon Forney. We were watching Warren Rosegreen during the shoot-around today. Even when he's standing still, he looks like he's ready to explode.
A very intimidating presence. He's 6'5". They list him at 215, but another explosive player getting off the floor. He actually jumped center at the beginning of this game at 6'5", and he's got quick, very quick hops.
22 times in his career, he's had 10 rebounds or better in a game. You saw his average. He was honorable mention all Big West his junior year. And he's got the first two for UNLV. We're tied early. A series that has been dominated by UNLV. But at home, Fresno got a win last time, and Bill Beno's not happy about this one.
Oh, that was a terrific play by Chris Herron to take the ball all the way to the basket. Mark Dickel was trying to body him up full court, and Herron just blew by him and found the seam and used his left hand and his body language to put this ball in just easy over the edge.
Transition. It goes down to Dickel. He feeds to Rosegreen. He's patient. Got his own. In a lot of traffic, he goes up again, and we've got another foul.
A lot of energy and intensity out there on the floor right now. Well, we knew emotions were going to be riding high in this game, Bob, and it's already started where players are just running up and down the floor trying to get the ball up in transition, and sometimes it doesn't even seem like their feet are on the floor.
Chris Herron the foul, and Rosegreen back to the line. He's only a 51% free throw shooter. Thomas and Mack Center is full tonight. 18,500 seats sold. They are 10-2 here this year. And Bill Beno has a 2-year record of 19-8 on this floor. But that's nothing compared to the 130 wins and 7 losses by Jerry Tarkanian. And that, of course, includes a loss earlier this year when Fresno came here during a holiday classic and played Texas Tech.
Well, that was his first appearance here, but this is his first appearance against the running Rebels.
And Herron, he was a late insertion into the starting lineup in place of Dominic Young, and the move pays off early for Tark as he has 4.
Well, he had 20 points in the first meeting between these two teams back on January 20th, and he had 18 of those in the first half, so he is capable of having some good starts.
Fresno on top 6-3. Posting up down there is Lane, switching for Nesby. A little bit off to the right, and Herron will rebound and run for the Bulldogs. Looking for Forney. Blows by Dickel. He hangs, but he's short with it. And running with this one is Rosegreen. 3-on-2. He will pull out. Fresno 6, Rosegreen 5.
Nice job by Warren Rosegreen to take the ball right up the court. No one picks him up, and he stops at the free throw line, which is where you're supposed to make a decision.
That's 40 on top for Rasan Smith. Heron doing a great job of running the ball club so far. He dribbles through the trap, gets his own rebound. He didn't have much of an angle for the bank shot, and he knocked it down anyway, and he has a half dozen.
Well, he's playing by himself on the offensive end, as is Warren Rosegreen for the running Rebels.
And he was rejected. Here's Nesby. Rosegreen the rebound. It goes in for him.
Get that kind roll. He's got to have at least 4 or 5 rebounds on the offensive end.
Rosegreen with 7, Heron with 6, and it's Fresno 8-7, and this ball game is off to a great start offensively.
It's going to be like this most of the evening, and I think it's going to come down to who stays out of foul trouble.
Forney the miss, easy rebound for Tyrone Nesby. Here's Dickel in transition, high off the glass. Lane was waiting for the tip, but Rasan Smith took it away from him. Heron short with the 3. That's McCullough on the back, and Darnell will get his first.
Well, these are the 2 guys who are dominating the offense right now. Chris Heron is going to see a seam and using his body English to be able to get up. Misses the shot, but grabs the offensive rebound. Does a terrific job of staying with the ball, but Warren Rosegreen on the other end is terrific around the offensive glass. Very unorthodox shot, almost a line drive, but is able to find the rebound and put it back in.
Keon Clark is in the game. He's posting up on the right side of your screen. Clark at 6'11", 220, very explosive.
A lot of NBA scouts in the building right now, and most of them have come to see the guard from Fresno State and Keon Clark from the running Rebels.
They went to Sunshine Smith on the wing, and he was fouled by Kendrick Brooks. That'll be number 1 on the senior out of New Orleans. 4 team fouls early on the Bulldogs of Fresno.
We see a lot of aggressive man-to-man by both these ball clubs.
Dickel, and he dumps it down low for Nesby. Great work by the point guard out of New Zealand.
Able to get that penetration inside, and Tyrone Nesby did one of the smarter things in basketball. Don't put it on the floor.
Rosegreen got caught up in the air too soon, and then on the offensive rebound, Keon Clark will get the foul.
Well, Darnell McCullough does a great job of going after this ball. He had great timing. Just try to get the ball up on the glass. Rasan Smith misses, but Darnell McCullough comes up with a big offensive rebound, and the foul on Keon Clark is something we're going to keep an eye on.
Well, last year during the second half of the season, Darnell McCullough was the top 6th man in the WAC. He scored 11 points a game. And believe it or not, he hit 41 of his last 55 field goals last year. Now that's service coming off that bench. He's got a couple, and so far, Tark's team is on top. We're off to a quick start. 4:14 in, 10-9 Bulldogs. Well, it's warm enough inside the Thomas & Mack Center to come scantily clad for this one tonight. A lot of the fans have been excited about this game for a long, long time. Tark's in town, and the Bulldogs lead 10-9 early. We've got a couple of guys having big games so far. Bill Bano's team out-rebounding Fresno 8-5, but Warren Rosegreen has all 5 of those, and 3 of those are at the offensive end. Fresno, though, makes a habit of being out-rebounded.
Yes, they have. On the season, they're out-rebounded 42-39, but they have to find a way on the road to really counterbalance that, because they look to take more shots, and they've had problems, especially against competitive teams coming in the WAC conference.
Keon Clark avoids the steal. They were out-rebounded by a smaller Air Force team, 46-29 on Saturday. Here's Heron in transition. The bounce pass out of bounds, and it'll go back the other way. Heron is claiming that one of the Rebels kicked it out. The ball was intended for Kendrick Brooks, and evidently the official, Scott Thornley, said he's the man that booted it over the baseline.
I think Heron might have had a point on that play. The ball was kicked going in the direction of the basket.
Half-court offense now for the Rebels. That's Keon Clark posting up. They skip it around. Good ball movement. Nesby in for the left side. Stop cold. And so far, Rasan Smith has been a big presence down low. Heron better score here because there's nobody to rebound. And luckily, they will get it back. It last hit Jermaine Smith. of UNLV. He was 1 on 4, and he did it anyway.
Well, he has that green light to be able to take the shot, and he put it up. He kind of short-armed the ball up to the basket, didn't get it up there enough, but he stayed with it to force the ball to go off a running Rebel.
Dickel will leave, and Kevin James, the senior guard for UNLV, comes in. He's one of their steady guys who just keeps things settled down while he's in there. And a little palm ball by Rasan Smith for his second field goal.
Well, the Bulldogs can be good rebounders, but they have to go after the ball aggressively. Rasan Smith is one of those players who can do that.
This one's going back the other way. You know, Jerry Tarkanian almost wishes these days that his team has lousy practices, because when they practice bad, they play good, and just the opposite when they have great practices. This team has him totally befuddled right now.
Yes, they do. He said they had great practices this week, especially yesterday here in Las Vegas, and he really cannot figure them out on a given day.
There's Dominic Young dumping it off for McCullough, and the left-hander goes down. Darnell McCullough, that's only his second three-pointer of the year. He's 2 for 9 with that make, so how big of a lift is that?
I think it should help his confidence quite a bit if he's able to make some of those outside shots because of Keon Clark's presence inside.
1-2-2 look by the Bulldogs. Lane, the offensive rebound, and Tony Lane follows it in.
Tony Lane shooting 59% from the field because he's able to just hang around the offensive glass and get balls like that to go in.
Just over the 6:15 mark time played. It's 15-11, Fresno. There's the dump down and the turnaround by Damon Forney, too strong. Running is Kevin James for the Rebels. Or should I say running? There's no G in running out here. Long on the 3, and that was Nesby. Here's the outlet for Dominic Young. On the wing, Heron short.
Well, we do have the track meet that we expected. Fresno State is back in a zone. They're trying to force the running Rebels to shoot the ball from the outside.
There's a little sunshine for you, Jermaine Smith. Averaging 13 a game. He went over 1,000 his last time out. And now the Rebels make a bit of a run. They have a chance to take the lead here. Ball down to Smith, and good defense. That was Dominic Young back there to help with the takeaway.
We may see a game in the hundreds by both teams before this thing is over.
Dominic Young, 5'10" senior out of Hyde Park in Chicago. He's the man running the offense, flashing down to the bottom of your screen to receive that pass. He dumps it down to Damon Forney. Forney, quick on the block, but he couldn't finish. Keon Clark, the rebound.
Keon is right up around the boards whenever the ball's coming off the offense or defense.
Look at Nesby's first step. Keon Clark is there.
There he is.
Quick hop. He doesn't score. He flushes. Home team on top. Heron on the drive. And we've got a whistle at the other end.
How quick and explosive is Keon Clark? He takes the rebound off the defensive board, but he runs the floor, and he's always watching. Where's the ball going? Where's the ball going? And as it's going up, you see Rasan Smith going for the block. Keon is head and shoulders above everybody else to ram that one home.
12:06, and Jerry Tarkanian calls a 22nd timeout here.
Well, I think what Tark wanted to do was try to slow this thing down just a little bit, get control of it, run a play, try to get something in there so that we don't get the emotion of the crowd going with a big play like Keon Clark.
Super Tuesday coming your way. There's a look at the WAC Pacific Division. Hawaii on top. More on that later. First, it's the Big Ten. Purdue and number 24, Indiana. And A.J. Guyton coming up big for the Hoosiers as they knocked off Michigan in OT over the weekend. And then to the SEC. Is anybody in the nation doing a better coaching job than Eddie Vogler? The Gamecocks are 9th in the nation. Mackey, Davis, and Watson lead the way. They only average 74 a game sometimes as they played Cincinnati the other day. Knocked them off, and a couple of good matchups tomorrow night. Jermaine Smith, by the way, on that foul a moment ago. Underneath, that was Danielle Macklin missing. Macklin just got eligible 5 games ago. Former Hilltopper from Western Kentucky.
Trying to find his timing and his niche with this team.
UNLV turns it over, and going coast to coast for the Bulldogs was Terrence Roberson with the miss. And back to steal it, Dominic Young. This is how you get your offense going, with good pressure defense.
But you got to make some baskets. We're seeing a lot of wild shots and no patience in the half court. Both teams are trying to get it up and down a little too quickly, and that's why we're seeing all the turnovers.
This is James for Lane. There was no passing lane. Daniel Macklin got the takeaway.
Well, James didn't have a very good angle as he tried to enter that pass. He wanted to get it inside to Tony Lane. It just wasn't there.
8 minutes and 40 seconds in. The pace is furious. Emotions are high. And the Rebels lead the Bulldogs by 1. Very important February game for both the Bulldogs and the Running Rebels. In the WAC Pacific Division, Hawaii is still on top with a record of 10-2, but the Rainbows have lost Seth Sundberg with a ruptured spleen. They've had a bus accident, couple of players suspended. They're dealing with a lot of things. And Fresno, of course, 1 game ahead of UNLV, so tonight's game very important for second place, just like yesterday's Tulsa, New Mexico game was over in the Mountain Division when the Lobos took care of TU and tied for second behind Utah. Over there, this is a heck of a basketball league.
Yes, it is. Riley Wallace has done a fantastic job with the University of Hawaii, and Fresno State plays them on the island in 3 more games.
Hey, how about Dominic Young? He was 4 out of 10 at Air Force. Their perimeter guys had a nightmare shooting the ball, and he rattles home a 3. That's got to help Fresno here.
I think it's going to help Dominic's confidence a little bit. He's really struggling from the field this season. Just over 33% from the field. He's got to find a way to take that shot without having a hand in his face.
551 assists, 212 steals in his career. And Kevin James will take a seat for UNLV. After the foul by Dominic Young, back into the game, the starting point guard, the freshman Mark Dickel. He handles it on top with Young guarding him.
Well, the zone's defense is still trying to force some turnovers, and they did it again.
Here comes Young. Behind the back dribble to get away from Sunshine Smith. On the wing for Heron. He's got the range this time, and Chris has 9 already. He's acting like he's playing UMass.
He's a very streaky shooter. Once he makes 1 or 2 baskets, he can put up 4, 5, 6 in a row.
His best game of the year, 25 against the Minutemen when they went on the road. And Tarkanian says that's the only decent road game we've played this year. That will be a backcourt violation on the bad pass.
I think Chris Heron was a little excited going back home to Massachusetts to play. Here you see Dominic Young with a kick out. And Chris is a guy who can score in bunches. Once he finds that rain from the outside, he's going to start showing an awful lot of emotion.
He was wired for this game today at noon when we saw him. He was having a hard time settling down.
Well, that's why he comes out without his warm-up jacket on, because he says he doesn't need it.
Here's Dickel after the turnover, and another turnover. He was passing it blindly down to Rose Green. Nobody was there except Rasan Smith.
If you're going to make a no-look pass, you got to hope your teammate is looking.
Dominic Young missing there, crashing over the top and getting the foul. It looks like Curry Stanley, the 6'10", 285 senior.
Look at the turnovers in this game already. The Running Rebels with 9. Fresno State only has 2, but I think they've had a couple more than that. But Curry Stanley picks up this foul over the back. Big, wide body who likes to set screens at the top of the key.
Fresno on top by 5, 21-16. We've got a push away from the ball, and it looks like another one on Curry Stanley.
I think you're right, Bob. Are we going to the free throw line? Boy, Tark is already trying to find a combination of players out there to settle this team down.
Well, Stanley plays about 16 minutes a game as the backup center. He may not get 16 minutes tonight with that foul total. And at the line is Damian Smith for UNLV, the senior guard out of Chaparral High School right here in Vegas. Everybody's lined up now along the key. Smith will step up and shoot.
Free throw shooting is going to be a key in this game as well. Running Rebels shoot 65% as a team. Fresno State 69%.
Anderson on the drive, stopped cold by Nesby. Here comes Dickel. Had he kept his dribble, he would have had a layup, but he thought they were going to defend him. Rose Green, the jump hook. Nesby, yes! And there's an indication of what a good athlete he really is.
Well, Warren Rose Green goes up for a jump hook. He's a left-handed player and shoots it with his right hand.
It won't go for Kendrick Brooks. Rebels hustling, and Dickel has it. Transition, straight ahead, and off the hands of Keon Clark. He might have been thinking about the slam before he had control.
Well, I think he was, and just trying to get the ball up again a little bit too quickly. Dickel wanted to try to make something happen before the play developed.
Billy Pano now with a 20-second timeout. It comes at the 8:58 mark.
Fresno State's rebounding situation hasn't gotten a lot better in this game. They've struggled all season long. You see Warren Rose Green going up for a right-handed shot, but stay with the ball. Don't give up on it. Tyrone Nesby does a terrific job on both ends as far as rebounding is concerned. That time he was able to get away with a stick back without any hands in his face.
This our nightcap on Big Monday, and coming up on the Deuce Wednesday is the Demon Deacons trying to come back from that one-point overtime defeat to North Carolina State yesterday, and they take on the Tar Heels. They thumped the Tar Heels by 24 last time out. I think Dave Odom had a good perspective on that game. They had some problems with the officiating at the end. He said, hey, nobody died. We're fine. Yep. And we're going to take on those Tar Heels on Wednesday.
Well, I think Dave Oben's another guy. He and Eddie Fogler have to be candidates for Coach of the Year in college basketball. They've done a terrific job.
Yeah, not only ACC Coach of the Year, but we're talking some National Coach of the Year candidates right there. Overtime game earlier tonight on ESPN. Marquette will play Louisville later this week, and they knock off UAB.
How about the Minnesota Golden Gophers? I think Clem Haskins has done another terrific job up there. They're number 2.
Climbing and climbing. Kansas will stay number 1. Knocking off Missouri earlier tonight by 12. The line drive won't go for Damon Forney. Getting it back is Kendrick Brooks for Fresno.
Offensive rebound.
8.5 minutes first half. Fresno doing a much better job on the boards tonight than they did in Colorado Springs on Saturday.
Well, Dominique Young has to settle the Bulldogs down in this situation. Take control of the game.
That one goes down for Rasan Smith, and the senior out of Oakland has a half dozen already.
He shot that high over the outstretched hand of Keon Clark, trying to avoid the block.
I know why they're playing better. They're back in the desert, Derek. They don't play very well at high altitudes. All 3 of Fresno's losses have been in the mountains.
Yeah, they've struggled, and Coach Tarkanian said that has to be somewhat of a myth because these guys are not tough enough.
They've lost at Colorado State, Wyoming, and Air Force. With that basket, Warren Rose Green has 9 on the night. It's a 3-point game, 7:40 remaining first half.
Rose Green wants this game all to himself. He wants to try to establish the fact that he can get the ball anytime he wants.
Dominic Young left his feet, and nobody knew exactly where he was going. We have an official's timeout with 7:30 remaining. UNLV has 20 points. Warren Rose Green has 9 emotional points. Bulldogs by 3 over UNLV, and we talked about Warren Rose Green. He not only has 9 points, but he's dominating in some other areas as well.
Well, he's already got his season averages. He averages 7 points and 7 rebounds, but he's doing a terrific job of just being aggressive, going after the ball on both boards and showing a lot of emotions trying to lead this team. He's made 3 out of 5 field goals, but the fact that he's been active and also very, very emotional has given his team a lift.
Well, it's quite simple, Derek. For big games in February, some guys show up and some don't. And he has definitely stepped into the spotlight here in Vegas tonight.
Well, that's senior leadership in this ball club. The Running Rebels have 5 seniors and 3 juniors on this team. They only dress 10 players. They need that leadership in this game.
Here's Nesby back to Dickel around the perimeter. Sunshine Smith on the drive. He dumps it, and Keon Clark. That's tough. You know, Keon never seems to hold on to the ball very long. It just kind of deflects off of his hands up to the glass. For a big fellow who's so explosive, he has great hands.
And quick timing.
That'll be a travel on Damon Forney.
Well, you talk about those good hands, Bob. Keon does a great job of, watch what he does. He catches this ball, and he spins with a defender right in his face and just jumps over him, kisses it off the glass. A left-handed player, kind of difficult to read him, but he has very quick explosion when he goes to the basket.
Smith in the corner for Nesby. There's Clark with the offensive rebound. The left-hander goes down for the left side. Keon did not start this game. He has 6. He had a career-high 27 the other day against San Jose State. By the way, that came in 23 minutes. He can score.
He can score. He can rebound. He's 3rd in the nation with over 4 block shots a game.
Rose Green has it. Keon Clark made it happen. And the Rebels up by 1 now, starting a bit of a run of their own.
Need to show some patience in the half-court set.
Jermaine Smith looked a little undecided about whether to release it from the perimeter. Clark for Nesby. Over the top. No basket. Good position by Rasan Smith, and Keon Clark will get his 2nd.
That's one of the problems you can have with having the luxury of having great jumping ability. Sometimes you don't know when to pull back. Sometimes you want to try to make that play. He picks up another foul over the back that's going to send him to the bench.
Tony Lane back in for Billy Bano. Lane not nearly as big, of course, but at 6'6", he's very strong. Sometimes he'll start at center, as he did tonight. He's in the middle working on the bigger Rasan Smith, who goes 6'10". There's Kendrick Brooks for McCullough. Back to Brooks over Dickel.
One. Oh, wow. That's mine.
Here's Smith, and he's rejected by Rasan Smith. We've got 3 Smith brothers out there tonight, and that one will climb out of bounds. It'll go back the other way. But Warren Rosegreen, I just heard a guy behind us holler, "You the man." And we're nowhere near a golf course, folks.
He is definitely the man in this ball game. He's head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of going after the ball.
Rebels by 1 over the Bulldogs. Down deep to Lane. He'll take another shot at it. Rosegreen's on the floor. UNLV working hard. It'll be a Fresno foul.
Hey, Bob, I think we better be careful over here, as aggressive as Warren is. He's going after everything, every loose ball. He wants this offensive rebound. He wants the defensive rebounds. Keep an eye on where the ball is. You will find number 42, Warren Rosegreen, somewhere close by it.
He will go to the line again. Former JC player at Chaffee College in California. Originally out of Fort Lauderdale, played at Dillard High School. He was a wide receiver. He was recruited for football by Miami, Clemson, and the Gators. Wow. So we're talking serious athlete here.
You're talking about some toughness that a lot of teams wanted to have on their ball club.
And if I'm a safety, I don't want to see him coming across the middle. Tyrone Nesby's a pretty good athlete himself. That's a half dozen for the junior out of Cairo, Illinois. And the Rebels have it going now. They lead by 3 with 5 minutes to go first half.
Well, offensive rebounds are what is keeping the running Rebels in this game.
Heron, and a blocking foul, says Steve Wilmer, down on the baseline. Heron almost traveled, and I see him pointing out to Scott Thornley that there's a wet spot on the floor.
Yeah, Billy Bano went absolutely ballistic on this play. There was a little bit of a slip on the play, and you're right, Bob, I thought that Chris Heron might have gotten away with a walk as well, but he was able to draw just enough contact, and Billy Bano is not happy.
Of course, if I traveled, I'd blame a wet floor myself. A heady move on the part of Chris Heron, just a sophomore. He only played 1 game for Boston College a couple of years ago before a wrist injury sidelined him. Bano letting Bill Gracie hear about it. And Heron then sat out last year after transferring. You know, that 1 game he played for Boston College before coming to Fresno, he scored 14 points and had 6 assists. They thought he was headed for great days at BC. He's got 10 tonight.
He's a terrific all-around player who sometimes needs to keep his feet on the floor. His emotional level rides him so high. He's out there bouncing right now. You want to say this guy is hyper. He needs to settle down a little bit.
Sunshine Smith. The entry for Rosegreen. Looking at a lot of red shirts. What a beautiful bank. And Warren has 11. He is unstoppable.
Well, keep in mind, Warren is a left-handed player by nature, and he shoots a lot of shots with his right hand.
Heron down to Forney. Rebound, Tyrone Nesby. The Rebels are running again. Down to Rosegreen. He's going to pull the backboard down. Take it to the roof. Oh, and Tarkanian has to stop it. Fresno with a 20-second timeout.
They need a fire extinguisher out here to try to stop Warren Rosegreen. Oh, my goodness. This is 2 possessions ago. You're going to see him give a pump fake and go with his right hand and throw it off the glass. That's what we talked about a moment ago, Bob. Keep an eye on the ball. Anytime you want to find out where Warren Rosegreen is, find the basketball. He'll be somewhere close by.
UNLV embarks on the 12-1 run. Wow. How many guys have a double-double 4 minutes before halftime?
Not very many, especially a guy who averages 7 and 7 on the season.
Something got his attention about this one tonight.
I'm not sure what it is, but he is excited about playing against the Fresno State Bulldogs.
Here's Dominic Young. Now the Dogs have to settle it down. They have not been a very good road team this year. Forney travels. He did the spin move, but he lost his dribble way too soon. 3:41 before halftime. The Rebels have taken over, and the man who's making it happen against Tark is Warren Rosegreen. 12-1, the UNLV run. The Rebels lead now by a half dozen. 3:41 before halftime. Coming up on Wednesday, hey, let's start you with 2 of the top 4 scorers in the ACC. Maryland's Keith Booth, second, 19 a game. Matt Harpring of Tech, also 19 a game, but a fraction below. And then later that night, we go to the Big East for St. John's and number 19, Villanova. Alvin Williams and Tim Thomas combined for 47 against the Irish yesterday. Well, the Bulldogs are shooting very poorly, continuing their trend. As we mentioned earlier, they were 9 of 32 from long range against Air Force the other day, and not doing much more from the shooting aspect here tonight.
Well, UNLV is dominating the boards, 30 to 14 in this game, getting shots and possessions, just overwhelming Fresno State.
It's now a 14-1 Vegas run, and the Rebels lead by 8.
And the field goal percentage for the running Rebels seems to be going higher and higher.
Unable to get the tip after the Heron miss was Damon Forney. Rasan Smith underneath, and he spins it off the glass, as he did a great job of keeping that possession alive.
And keeping his balance. He almost traveled or he almost gave up a jump ball.
Rosegreen up high, looking at Forney. Back to Jermaine Smith, the man they call Sunshine. 3 rims out on him. Rosegreen again, and he draws the foul.
Warren is having a career night in a half.
And that's number 3 on Damon Forney. Bad news for Fresno State.
Warren looks like he might be hurting a little bit, but he has absolutely explosive leaping ability. They say he has a 38-inch vertical leap, but he gets off the floor quickly, and that's one of the things that impresses me about guys who like to leap. He can jump 1, 2, or 3 times very quickly.
Oh my. 3 fouls, 10 missed shots.
Wow. And that's after Fresno State beat the running Rebels in Fresno, and Damon Forney had a career night, 24 points and 9 rebounds.
Double his average in less than 1 half. He also has double-figure rebounds. And there's an offensive board for Lane. Tony the miss, and finally grabbed by Rasan Smith of Fresno State. 2.5 minutes to go, and it's UNLV now by 7.
Fresno State has to find an answer offensively.
Dominic Young unable to knock down the 3. Here comes Sunshine Smith with Dickel. 3-on-3. Good defense by Heron, and the Rebels give it back.
Great defense by Chris Heron, not giving up that basket. Sunshine Smith wanted to go up for about a 10-foot jumper, and Chris just tipped it off of his chest.
Well, some of you folks up in New England wondering what happened to Chris Heron. Now you know.
He's alive and well.
Daniel Macklin up high for Heron. Watching him is Smith. Macklin sets the pick. Heron long with the 3. Kept alive. And Roberson has it. Tyrone Nesby trying to get out on it. That ball barely got the bottom of the net.
The fans let him know it.
Dickel for Newby. Oh! Tyrone Nesby.
It was an acrobatic athletic shot.
Nesby had the deuce. He has 10 now. Left side, it's Rosgreen, and he is hacked on the way up. And great ball movement by the Rebels once more.
Boy, I think Tyrone is tired. Warren Nesby is tired running up and down the court, but Warren Rosgreen once again is in the middle of all the action. Able to get inside, receive that pass, and try to get the ball up to the glass.
Chris Fowler, Clark Kellogg coming up at halftime with our Delta Faucet report. It's the Tigers in Kansas earlier tonight. OT with the Orange in the Big East. And a huge NBA trade. 9 players trading places today.
Between Dallas and New Jersey, that could start making some difference with those two teams.
Vegas continues the big run. At one point it was 12-1. Now it's a 15-point advantage over the last 7 minutes. And this fellow's been right in the middle of it. Strong physical rebound. That's what they're looking for from Daniel Macklin, the former high school star out of Louisville. Here's Roberson on the drive. He lost it. Macklin the save. Jermaine Smith for UNLV. Ahead to Dickel. Nesby. Oh, if that would have gone in, it would have been unbelievable.
He tried.
He was knifing his way in between 2 players, and he darn near got it to fall. Here's Heron, and that's a blocking foul at the other end on Sunshine Smith.
Boy, Nesby was falling down as he was just trying to keep his balance and trying to keep from turning the ball over. He does a very good job to gain his control, but there's 2 defenders on his side, and he's falling down and kind of twists it off the glass and does draw some iron, but he can't get it to go in.
Sunshine Smith with his 2nd foul. Damian Smith is in there.
The game of Smiths and runs, isn't it?
More runs than Smiths. And the Dogs get it back. They're down by 7 in the final 40 seconds. Roberson can't knock it down. Again, they continue their bad shooting from outside. And Scott Thornley says this one still belongs to the visiting team.
Well, Darnell Macklin, you mentioned this is only his 6th game of the season, and Jerry Tarkanian told me the last time these teams met that Macklin is the best rebounder this team has. In practice before he was eligible, there were some days he grabbed 80-90% of the rebounds. He's starting to show a little bit of his timing now.
No shot clock. UNLV on top by 10. Dominic Young waiting. Now they get into their offense with 12 seconds remaining. It's Chris Heron with it. Looking at Damian Smith. He'll drive, and he will finish.
Beautiful.
A dozen for Heron. 1 second to go, and Dickel almost knocked it down from midcourt. Warren Grosgreen already a double-double tonight. And at the half, it's Vegas by 8 over Fresno. Well, Chris Fowler, Jerry Tarkanian was the focus tonight, but Warren Rosegreen refuses to be upstaged. The Rebels are running again. Down to Rosegreen! He's going to pull the backboard down. Take it to the roof. That was not a no-fear moment if you were the guy guarding him. What a first half he's had. He's had 15 points and 12 rebounds. But you think he's getting tired. He actually missed 2 shots.
Warren made a lot of effort out there. He did some very good things in terms of going after the ball aggressively. I thought he did a terrific job of playing above the basket. He made 5 out of 7 from the field. He had 12 rebounds, 6 on the offensive glass. Also 15 points in 17 minutes of play.
Look at FSU's shooting, 11 of 41. Their last 2 games, Derek, they've made 9 of their last 47 three-point shots.
Tough to make those shots when you have a hand in your face.
Keon Clark is the starter this half. He gets the Rebels going well. That's points 7 and 8 for him, and UNLV now has their 10-point lead back.
Keon shoots about 56-57% from the field because he's able to just jump right over his defender. His problem is he's got to stay out of foul trouble so he can stay on the floor. UNLV
is totally destroying Fresno on the boards as well. 36-22, the halftime advantage. And make it 37.
See Dominic Young taking that shot with Mark Dickel right in his face, and you can't get a good look at the basket, and that causes your field goal percentage, your numbers, to go down.
Dickel running the Rebel offense. This is Rosegreen on top. What are you going to do for an encore, big guy? I thought he was going to bury the jumper. Look at Keon Clark. He just plays a little beach volleyball out here in the desert to keep that one alive. It's a 12-point Rebel lead.
Another offensive rebound.
Biggest lead by UNLV. Heron the miss. Rosegreen ripping down the rebound.
Give me that ball.
Nesby for 2. Rosegreen, he had designed to catching that ball with one hand and slamming it in.
He was timing it.
Here's Forney. Probably should have taken the shot. He dumped it off to Smith.
Yeah, he had Clark turned sideways. He should have gone up with it.
Heron, unable to hit.
Who's there? Rosegreen again for the rebound.
He's walking down the court. He's a little bit gassed right now.
Yes, he is. Still like a player who doesn't have much body fat on his frame. Therefore, it causes him not to have the muscle tone. Doesn't have a lot of fat.
Rosegreen on the wing. If Keon makes this, you know, Tark might as well warm up the bus if that one goes in. Transition, well done. McCullough the finish.
Good patience in terms of trying to get the ball up the court. Fresno State has to chip away at this lead. They can't make a 10-point play. They have to do it with good defense and try to score some easy baskets.
Sunshine Smith. And the rebound by Damon Forney, who is 0 for 10 in the first half. But he does have some pretty good rebounding numbers and good transition. There's Heron, and suddenly Bill Bano wants a 20.
Yeah, I think Coach Bano wants to try to settle this game down. He doesn't want Fresno State to come out with any momentum. What the Bulldogs have done is they've gone to the defensive boards. They're now preventing the running Rebels from getting the offensive shots and putting them back in.
This game is very important, especially for the home team. They are 7-4 in the WAC, a game behind Fresno. Will Bano some of that intensity that he brings? After 7 years at UMass with John Calipari, he was associate coach there. As mentioned, with Larry Brown at Kansas, with PJ at Seton Hall.
Wow, great credentials.
Those are some pretty good guys to learn from.
I'd say so.
But a new 4-year contract. He said the toughest thing about getting a new contract was trying to talk the administration out of more tickets. They said no on the tickets.
Well, that's a problem here because the running Rebels, with their success now, they're starting to draw well. You mentioned they're 10-2 at home.
Yep.
He's doing a terrific job with this program.
By the way, at Selland Arena in Fresno, The Bulldogs are 11-0. Clark on the back. That'll be number 3 on Keon. They didn't necessarily need that one.
No, they didn't. And Keon's trying to go after this ball, and a smart play for him would be to go up for the ball and try to tip it to himself. I work with a guy named Dennis Rodman who does that very well. To avoid that contact, he'll tip it to himself once or twice just to try to keep it alive.
Dominic Young the steal, but he had to step in front and foul Mark Dickel to get it. And evidently Dickel got poked on that one. Dominic Young with his second.
Fresno State is showing a little bit more aggressiveness going after the ball, especially on the floor and on the defensive boards. Let's see if they can convert some of these. They need to stop. They need to start thinking about one stop at a time.
Dickel with the dump down to Clark over Rasan Smith. Keon is on fire. That's a dozen for him. He had 4 blocks in that San Jose State game to go with those 23 second-half points for that grand total of 27. So he's firing it up here in February.
He jumped right over the head of Rasan Smith.
Look at Chris Herron. Well, you look at some of the young guys they've have, like Herron, a sophomore, some of the people they're redshirting, like Tremaine Folks, and some of the people they've got coming in. Fresno State is going to be loaded for the next couple of years.
I think so, especially next season. Jerry Tarkanian is really looking forward to bringing all this talent in, but he wants to finish this season strong. He will not be happy if this team goes to the NIT. Even though he wants to get them into postseason play, he feels like if they can win 3 out of 4 or finish strong, win 4 out of 4, they have a great chance of going to the NCAA tournament.
4 fouls on Damon Forney with 15:48.
Boy, he has struggled.
Yeah, that's basically going to take him out of the game. I mean, he has no scoring, and evidently he will not be a factor at all now.
Well, he hasn't in terms of offense. He's averaging 14 points a game on the season, and he's also a very good rebounder at over 6.5 rebounds. He has been nullified in this game.
Rebound, it's Nesby, and it's ripped down by Rasan Smith of Fresno.
Offensive rebound nonetheless, another possession.
Chris Herron with the drive, the penetration, and that will be goaltending on Keon Clark. Herron with 18. So that basket makes it a 7-point game at our first time out in the second half. We've played 4.5 minutes out of the locker room. Keon's getting it done at both ends. This is a sweet-looking jumper from the right side. Tark's Bulldogs shooting better now, 4 out of 7 in the early part of the second half, trying to get back into this game. Tremaine Folks was a freshman All-American at Cal 2 years ago. Avondre Jones is considered a big-time talent. They are going to be loaded next year, Derek.
Well, they have Winfred Walton. They also have Larry Abney, Rafer Alston, Kenny Bruner, and I think one of the stars of that class is going to be the freshman Melvin Eli, who's coming in, playing in Illinois right now, and he is a terrific 6'11" player who can change the game as we know it.
Avondre Jones, a 6'11" senior center when he comes back. Tremaine Folks will have 2 years left. He, of course, the young man out of L.A. Crenshaw, ran into some NCAA problems, but he'll be in Fresno next year, and that is an over and back, and it's going back.
That's a great call, but the pressure defense, Jerry Tarkanian calls this the amoeba, be able to stretch, adapt, adjust, and make something happen in a hurry.
7-point game. At the half, it was an 8-point difference. Vegas got it out to 10 on a couple of occasions. Nesby almost got the steal. And that one is well short from Danielle Macklin. Into the corner. And a timeout. Mark Dickel. We saw that tonight in overtime. UConn did the same thing. Players are getting very smart about using those 20-second timeouts.
I still can't say that I like that play, but it's smart heads-up basketball, using the rules to your advantage. and being able to maintain a possession, whereas it could have gone right back to the Bulldogs.
The only thing, Derek, you've got 15 minutes and 4 seconds left in the game. Is one possession worth losing your last 20-second timeout? Players act on instinct, and that's the way they do it. Now, when Fresno beat UNLV by 11, that broke a 16-game series losing streak. There was a big difference in the made free throws. Forney had a career high of 24, but tonight he's got the big 0.
Well, something we talked about at the beginning of this game was the fact that Fresno State has never won in this building. Great hustle. And our buddy Steve Wilmer helps Chris Herron up.
Yeah, Steve couldn't find a game to work last night after working the noon game in New Mexico, so he came over here the next day.
Steve is a good friend. He and I grew up together in Cincinnati.
Against him, huh?
Oh, yeah. We've known each other for a long, long time.
I want to see him post you up sometime.
He did.
Dickel for Nesby. Zone look from the Bulldogs. Inside to Clark. Good help from the backside by Danielle Macklin.
Very good help, because that was a sure basket inside. And when you zone, if you're going to pressure the ball, you have to make sure you have help on the weak side.
Shot clock at 6. Sunshine Smith into Clark. He kicks for Nesby. Rose Green almost kept it alive. Warren has 15 rebounds tonight.
Great rebound by Macklin.
Fresno State slowly but surely turning this game around.
Yes, they are, because they've gotten control of it, and they're starting to work now in the half-court set. That's a good foul.
Yeah, because Sunshine Smith was going to go to the other end uncontested and jam it.
Well, they're giving him a breakaway on the play, which is a smart thing to do, but Chris Herron knew he was beaten on that play. Take a look at the balls going up. Right there, Chris Herron reaches out, and you know, unfortunately, with this breakaway foul, it means they're going to get 2 free throws, and they're going to maintain possession of the ball.
And most coaches will always want the intentional foul on a play like that.
Of course.
And he got it.
If he makes the free throws.
The possession to follow.
Running Rebels only shoot 65% as a team from the free throw line. The second half and down the stretch is when you have to make those. Mark Dickel's been receiving an awful lot of pressure from the Fresno State guards. They're forcing him to turn his back.
Loose ball picked up by Danielle Macklin. Dominic Young, the 5'10 senior.
He needs a screen.
Back from McCullough via Herron. Now everybody's touching on this possession, and Rasan Smith is into double figures, his first basket of the second half. And yeah, it's a 6-point game. Smith is limping.
The official stopped it just to make sure that he was okay, because he went down, and he was down pretty hard. And you'll get some former players as officials who have a little bit of sympathy when that situation occurs.
Some full court pressure by the Dogs. And the turnover. Dominic Young with it.
Basket here.
A 3 would cut it in half. Herron, he was going to take the 3, but he couldn't get control of the dribble right away. The jump stop. Smith keeps it alive. Ball blocked on the way up, and the Dogs have it again. Herron doing a great job of penetration. And I think Smith knew that one was coming.
One pass too many.
Yeah, that was telegraphed, and Dickel finishes Jermaine Smith. A good instinctive play to get the turnover.
Playing the passing lane and getting control of this game again. The running Rebels want to try to keep it in this building, but the Bulldogs from Fresno State are chipping away at it. They can't rush.
McCullough, and he drains it. Darnell with 9 on the night, and that's 4 over his average. He played a lot more last year, 18 minutes a game this year, 10 more as a junior. Thus, he only has 1 of his 13 career double-doubles this year, but he's a guy capable of scoring.
Well, Darnell's a senior, and he was a Proposition 48, and then coming in after he set out that first season, he was so excited, he slept in the gym the night before the first practice.
Well, he's alive and awake now. There he is, penetrating. He wants to dish. Smith. And these big guys are doing some nice shooting tonight. That's a dozen for Rasan Smith. And we've got a 4-point ball game with 12:10 remaining.
Well, you have to give credit on that play to Darnell McCullough for getting that dribble penetration, but just trying to get the ball inside instead of settling for that 3-point shot. Fresno State's gotten back in this game.
Dickel for Rosegreen. That's a charge. That'll be his second.
Darnell Macklin has come in and made a terrific impression on this game with his defense and rebounding.
8 minutes and 5 seconds out of the locker room. Danielle Macklin takes the charge. Rosegreen second, and the Bulldogs are right back in it. 46-42. Big Monday presented by Bud Light. We've got a dandy for the nightcap here in the wee hours from Vegas. Rebels by 4. And coming up on Thursday, a doubleheader to the Big Ten, Michigan and Iowa. And the Wolverines are still smarting from that 18-point halftime lead they gave back to the Hoosiers. Tough place to play, that Carver Hawkeye. And then it's Louisville on the road. Denny Crum is always one of the great coaches in America in the month of February. They take on the Eagles of Marquette. And their junior guard, Aaron Hutchins, Thursday night. The towel originated a long time ago during a ball game when Tartt was very thirsty. He got tired of walking down to the end of the bench, so they wet a towel for him, and he's been chewing on the wet one ever since.
Well, he uses that to kind of keep him emotionally stable as well. But second half in this game, Fresno State has come out there shooting 50% from the field by taking better opportunities, not necessarily settling for that 3-point basket.
Here's Heron on the drive. The dish and the finish by Tony Lane, and what a night Chris Heron is having.
Terrific dribble penetration to get inside, take Keon Clark out of the play along with another defender, and then make the dish.
Keon Clark. Oh, quick first step. Yes! And a foul!
Oh, was that a quick move? A little shake and bake by the 6'11", 225-pounder. A little pump fake to the right and go to the left with a quick move, and then he gets in the air, uses his athleticism to go right by Rasan Smith. This is a very good athletic move by a guy who's 6'11", and a lot of these NBA scouts in this building came to see plays just like that.
He's got a 15-point night. He's also a great shot blocker. He's had 9 games with 5 blocks or more this year. He's the WAC leader in blocks, but he's doing it at the offensive end tonight.
Well, he's number 3 in the nation because he's able to change a game.
McCullough for Brooks. We've got some athletes on the floor tonight. Kendrick Brooks, averaging 11 a game, finally gets his first basket. Now they try to trap. They've got some quick guards out there. In Dickel and James. And it'll be a Bulldog foul on Darnell McCullough, his second.
Well, the Bulldogs have gone to and picked up on that Amoeba defense, just trying to trap the ball whenever it comes to one side of the court or the other. Keep it on that side and play the passing lanes almost like a wide receiver, not allowing the ball to be passed across court.
Darnell McCullough with 9 sits down, and Dominic Young is back. Look at Dickel. He was adjusted there by Rasan Smith.
Great fake to get inside.
Dominic Young. He's not been able to hit since an early 3. He hasn't had any scoring since then. Dickel for Keon Clark, and a good takeaway by Macklin getting back on defense.
Clark had a foul there. Wasn't called.
Heron for Young. He'll try it again, and he stays cold, and the tip will go down.
Macklin, I believe, got that. Yes, Macklin got that ball.
Danielle Macklin.
Pressure again.
Well, after made baskets, it's a little easier to step up the defense.
Well, the defense in this case, I think it seemed to ignited their offense. They're now fueled by that energy, going down, getting better shots, and also the guards are trying to penetrate a little bit better, but the Bulldogs as well are going after the offensive glass.
Damon Forney left with his 4th foul. almost 6 minutes ago. Now he's going to get back in and see if he can contribute something offensively in this game. Number 3 down low, he's guarding Warren Rosegreen.
I think if Forney can get something going off the defensive end, he can help his offense.
Keon Clark.
Remind you a little bit of a taller, longer Stacey Augmon?
Sure does.
Officials time.
I think we've got some moisture on the floor.
That from Tark's towel?
Damon Forney, 10 field goals on January 20th. Tonight, a big 0. He does have some rebounds tonight, has an assist, but they need him to score. He's averaging 14 points a game. Fresno State's going to take a 20 here while we have a little lull.
Well, high percentage opportunities are what you got to have in a situation like this. The Bulldogs have been taking advantage of it, but I think the running Rebels have to do a little bit better themselves. If they can get the ball inside, find Nesby or Keon Clark or Warren Rosegreen down inside, they'll have a better chance to keep their percentage up high. But this is Keon Clark. 6'11", extremely long arms, and he's able to give a little finger roll right over the head once again of Rasan Smith by going into the basket.
Filipino setting up the defense after the made basket by Keon Clark. By the way, Keon has 11 of his 17 in the second half.
Well, foul trouble kept him on the bench much of the first half, so he is starting to get a feel for where this game is going.
But it's still a tight one. Rebels by 3. Heron for the Bulldogs. Looking right at Dickel. Flowing by him. High off the glass. Offensive rebound, Rasan Smith, and he has 14.
Second half, the Bulldogs are coming at you. They weren't this aggressive the first half. They're starting to pick it up now.
Well, they know they let their coach and their fans down with that loss on the road the other day at Air Force. And not taking anything away from the Falcons, Air Force made a bunch of three-pointers. Everything they threw up went in. They were very emotional about that game, but Fresno is still smarting from that loss, and this will be number 1 on Rasan Smith.
Well, Rasan is trying to do what Jerry Tarkanian tells him to, which is to don't let Keon Clark out of your sight, and he tried to face guard him that time.
Sunshine Smith unable to hit. Rebound, Damon Forney. 51-50. The UNLV lead is in jeopardy. Heron on top. Smith to the wing for Kendrick Brooks.
Good movement.
Yeah, Dominic Young again. He's going to try another 3. It just won't go down for him. And then Forney fouls out. He was on the back of the offensive player.
Well, Dominic Young, in taking that jump shot, I thought the ball was either tipped or he lost the handle on it before he took it up. Didn't have a clean look at it. But in putting it up on the glass, you saw Forney going over the back and picking up his 5th foul. He did not have a very good evening here tonight. Not only wasn't he able to score, but he wasn't able to contribute to the efforts of his team on the offense.
24 less than last time when these two met.
That hurts. That hurts when you're unable to contribute, especially when your team looks forward to you giving, 12, 14, 16 points in a ball game.
That was assistant coach John Welch consoling him. It's still a 1-point game. UNLV in the bonus, but not doing anything about it. Rasan Smith stopped by Clark. Running is Sunshine Smith. Look out, Dominic Young's on your hip. He gets it right back from Dickel. The high entry for Keon Clark, and he finally misses one. Good strong rebound, Kendrick Brooks.
Good aggressive rebound by the Bulldogs.
Macklin rejected by Keon.
And he keeps it in bounds and grabs the ball himself.
His 83rd block of the year. 8:18 remaining. This one too close to call. It was an 8-point game with UNLV on top at halftime.
Try to get the ball inside and take a look at Macklin. He's going to turn his back, but just tip a little bit of the ball and keep possession of it. Keon Clark is one of the best in the country at it.
Nesby. Oh, that was a lucky bounce. Right off of his ankle to Dickel. Sunshine Smith can't knock it down. Ball high on the glass, and getting rid of it. Warren Rose-Green. Yep, guess who? Then the three won't go for Sunshine Smith. Rose-Green on the floor. The possession arrow's going the other way. 7:53 remaining. It's a scrappy night in Vegas, and the Rebels by 1 over those Dogs. Rebels over the Bulldogs by 1 with less than 8 minutes to go here on Big Monday. WAC is our nightcap. And coming up Saturday on the Deuce, there's more from the WAC as Colorado State takes on Fresno. The Rams beat the Bulldogs by 1 at home back on January 23rd. And Tarkanian's team will follow this one up with a tough one at home. Colorado State is one of the better kept secrets in this league, and you'll get a chance to check out the Rams on Saturday.
They're 7-5 on this season, so they need a win on Saturday. A little reversal of fortune there, Bob?
Yeah.
Rebounding is so important in a game this close. Rebounding and making free throws. Fresno State was getting killed in that first half. They've come back to gain the advantage the second half.
Heron for Smith. Rasan almost banked it in, and Keon Clark the rebound.
Kind of fumbled the ball. Never seemed to have a clean control on it.
7:30 and counting. UNLV 7-4 in the WAC Pacific Division. 1 game behind 8-3 Fresno. Rose-Green. Back on top for Sunshine Smith. He sees a little seam, a little bit off balance, and he knocks it down, and Sunshine has a half dozen.
Warren Rose-Green set a little screen to allow Sunshine to get inside the paint, knocking down that little shot. All it takes is an eyelash.
Brooks. Smith the follow. Rasan had another touch, and finally Keon Clark says that's enough.
That's enough, fellas. That's mine.
Vegas by 3.
Running Rebels have done a great job to withstand several pushes by the Bulldogs to get back in this game or to get the lead, and they can't seem to get over that hump.
Dominic Young watching Mark Dickel. Down low, we've got a foul. It's going to be on Warren Rose-Green. That'll be his third.
Boy, Warren's doing a little bit of everything, but he picks up his third foul. Trying to create space once again. We saw him make a little screen a few minutes ago for Jermaine Smith, and now he's trying to get something else happen.
By the way, he has not scored in this half. You know, Billy Bano has no 20-second timeouts left.
Got to be full.
This is a full timeout. He doesn't realize it.
He does now.
Oh, brother. 6:28 to go, and Billy Bano has just used a full timeout, ahead by 3. 6:28 remaining, Vegas by 3, and a very interesting thing just happened as we went to break. It's possible that Bill Bano forgot about the 20 they had to use on that play down in the corner we talked about, Derek. He was signaling for a 20. The official said, hey, you don't have it. So he now has only 1 full timeout remaining.
And Fresno State has 2, and Tark has used up all of his 20 seconds. So it's going to be very, very critical down the stretch. We still have 6.5 minutes to go in this game. Possessions and timeouts, always a factor.
18,024 on hand at the Thomas & Mack Center tonight. A building where Jerry Tarkanian has won 130 games and lost only 7. And only 6 of those as head coach of the Runnin' Rebels.
Well, he's trying to steal one here because he feels like he has a chance. His team has gotten back in this game.
Dominic Young still cannot hit. The follow shot goes down by the backup center, Curry Stanley, his first points of the night. And it's a 1-point game in the final 6 minutes.
Boy, Stanley is a wide body at 6'10", over 285.
Clark, again, that quick first step, but this time Dominic Young gets over there with his quickness.
Well, just to try to prevent him from driving all the way to the basket.
You know, Tyrone Nesby's been quiet. He draws the foul. He has not scored in the second half. Neither has Warren Rose-Green. Those guys combined for 25 first-half points.
Well, I think you have to give credit to the defense and the adjustments that were made at halftime by Coach Jerry Tarkanian and his staff. They went to a zone. They go from zone to man-to-man. Then they'll come at you with that amoeba defense. They're throwing different looks, not allowing the ball to get inside. As a result, Tyrone Nesby and Warren Rosegreen can't get the ball inside. That's why we see Keon Clark out on the perimeter trying to create something one-on-one.
A lot of folks feel Tark never got enough credit for his defense here. The reason the Rebels could run was because of that pressure D.
Well, you don't get to the NCAA tournament, what is it, 14 times without having a great defensive philosophy?
Yeah, 2 of those at Long Beach State and 12 of those here. 4 Final Fours with the Rebels.
And a national championship. You got to be able to play defense.
Dominic Young
try to draw a foul.
Here they go. Clark, he caught it. And the foul before he was able to get rid of it. Trying to do everything he could to prevent the jam was Danielle Macklin. That'll be his 4th.
Well, this is a good pass by Mark Dickel. A little bit late because I thought Keon Clark was down there before the defense got set, and had he caught that ball, he was going to rock the house, but Macklin got back just in time to prevent the crowd from standing on their feet.
You see Chris Herron running back into your picture. He of 18 points for Fresno tonight. Also checking back in, Terrence Roberson. Macklin with 4. At the line, Keon Clark, a 61% free throw shooter.
I like Daniel Macklin's nose for the ball. He has a good feel for where it's going. On the glass, when it's on the floor, he runs the floor extremely well. He gets to the passing lanes, and he's just a junior, so he has another year of basketball he can give Coach Stark, even though this is only his 6th game.
Keon Clark, 8 rebounds and 18 points now. If he gets a couple of more rebounds, he'll have his 7th double-double in his last 11 games. How many guys who don't start can make that claim?
Not very many. He does a terrific job averaging 9 rebounds a game, but in the game against San Jose State, he had 27 points, but he only had 1 rebound in that game. Bill Nabano said he was very disappointed.
Vegas, a little bit of breathing room. They lead by 5 as we move under. 5 minutes remaining. The crowd's back into it. They're in for Young. Dickel almost got it. On the floor, the possession arrow goes the other way. Mark Dickel, the freshman, former member of the New Zealand national team, with a big defensive play.
Big defensive play and big heart by Mark Dickel. Look at his face. Boy, Tark wants to get out there and go after this ball himself. But Mark Dickel at 6'1", going against Kari Stanley, 6'10", 285. It takes a lot of heart to get in there.
See, Tark's used to having the left arm up on the table over here on the other side.
I think you're right.
He's having to make the adjustment himself.
Well, he's standing up now. He's trying to get a little leverage so he can get into this game.
Entry from Smith to Clark, and Keon fouled on the way up. It appears to be on Tony Lane. That would be his 3rd.
Well, Keon was right in his office. He was getting ready to turn around and flush that ball right over the top. I haven't seen too many college players with this kind of leaping ability. He's got great hands around the basket, but he also gets off his feet extremely quickly. And once he gets up, he's looking to throw the ball down in the basket every single time.
Clark looking for 20 with this one.
Averages 14 and 9 on the season.
Vegas by 6. Full court pressure after the make. Clark really drilled his team on breaking the full court pressure today. And that time, it was just dribbled off the foot of Terrence Roberson with Tyrone Nesby on his back. And the Rebels will have it the other way.
Well, we haven't mentioned Terrence very much this evening. He's just getting back. He had missed 3 games with a stress fracture in his foot. So his timing is off. Not only did he miss those 3 games, but he also missed the practice time.
There's the trap. Dickel passes out of it to Nesby. He hesitates, cannot score. Clark! Keon is there again.
And they're playing volleyball all by himself.
22 for the junior out of Danville, Illinois.
Extending this lead.
They've got it up to 8. It was down to 1 a little while ago. Heron looking for the 3. Now he penetrates, and the ball was on his hip. Sunshine Smith loses it. McCullough was fouled. Yeah, Keon Clark was grabbing McCullough just as he picked up the loose ball, and that'll be 4 on Keon.
Where Chris Heron tried to use some dribble penetration to get inside. He was going to take the ball right at Clark, but it was stripped out of his hands. And in going for that loose ball, Keon picks up his 4th personal foul. I'd say you leave him in the game at this juncture.
Yeah, 3:43 remaining. Vegas on top by 8.
Official telling the Running Rebels bench to sit down.
Heron, well, long with the 3. McCullough, and Keon Clark fouls out.
Whoa, what a gamble.
5 seconds after his 4th foul.
My goodness, but the long shot, getting that defensive rebound, Darnell McCullough. That's how this foul is picked up. He got inside and then going up, reaching from the backside. The official on the baseline made that call, but Keon Clark fouls out at a very critical time in this ballgame.
He gets 2 fouls within 5 seconds of each other.
You got to be smart in a situation like that, Bob. You got to know what you have, know what you can do, know what you can't do. Try to avoid silly fouls like that over the back.
With him fouling out, both coaches steal a 20-second timeout here. Officials are saying, come on, boys, there's no timeout. Let's get on the floor. Here's the picture in the Pacific. Hawaii on top by a game and a half over Fresno. Vegas a game back. Colorado State and Wyoming making a pretty good second half run. Joby Wright's team is lurking as well. 22 points and 9 boards for Keon.
Fresno State still has a tough finish. They play Wyoming, Colorado State, go to Hawaii, then go to San Diego State. No easy road down the stretch.
You know, you can talk about the noise of Vegas and Utah and New Mexico, but some coaches in this league feel Hawaii has the ultimate home court advantage just because of the travel and because of the atmosphere. I mean, who thinks about basketball when they go to Honolulu?
I don't, and I've been there many, many times.
Darnell McCullough into double figures. It's a 7-point game with 3.5 to go. Sunshine Smith didn't see the opening on the baseline. Great entry, and Lane is fouled from behind. That would be number 2 on Rasan Smith.
Well, the Bulldogs are trying to pick up their defense, trying to force that amoeba to shut down the corners. You see 3 defenders run in there and catching the ball over the top. Nice job by Tony Lane, and he wanted that basket to go along with the foul, but couldn't quite get it. A lot of missed free throws down the stretch here, aren't there?
Tony Lane, the senior out of Simon Gratz, the great basketball program in Philadelphia. Played at Kilgore Junior College in Texas.
A 6'9" high jumper in high school.
Simon Gratz was 82-2 his 3 years in high school. Wow. Fresno State, 3 out of 6 from the line. Vegas is 13 of 22. Brooks got it back somehow.
The official said it was touched. Fans wanted to travel.
61-55. Clock running down to the 3-minute mark on this possession. Nesby. They need him. That's his first field goal of the second half. Look at Bill Bano, top of the screen. He's out there playing defense himself.
That was a big basket by Nesby to try to settle this game down.
Ball was kicked by Dickel. It'll be a fresh 35 for Tarkanian's Bulldogs.
Well, with Keon Clark being out of the game, somebody has to take control on the offense and the defensive end for the Running Rebels.
Kendrick Brooks to throw it in. Somehow gets it in. McCullough can't knock it in, and it's going to stay with Fresno.
Urbano can't believe it. He felt like his team had the ball, and it was knocked out of bounds.
Dominic Young missing again. It's going to be a Fresno foul. That will be on Kendrick Brooks, his second. Dominic Young just really can't find the basket tonight.
Well, he's only 5'10", and he's still trying to find that shot on the move and find it with a defensive hand in his face, and he hasn't gotten any clean looks. And that, to me, is the reason why he's missing so many baskets. He needs a screen at the top of the key or someone to come up and get his man.
Tyrone Nesby, a 70% shooter.
Wow.
Oh, my.
He is struggling big time. Only 1 out of 11 from three-point range.
And more breathing room for the Rebels. They're up by 10. They had a 10-point lead early in the half. Fresno State is 3 out of 24 from three-point range tonight. That's a high percentage shot. Rasan Smith with 16.
Nice job by Darnell McCullough to break that pressure and get the ball in the offensive set.
Sunshine. Jermaine Smith with 8 on the night.
A press breaker. Get the ball in the offensive set.
Heron fouled by Nesby. That'll be Tyrone's first. You know, you hate to harp on negative numbers, Derek, but when you put the Air Force game together with tonight, Fresno State has made 9 of their last 56 three-point shots in those 2 games.
That is absolutely amazing. They really struggled from the field, struggled from three-point range, got out rebounded, you mentioned, 46-29 in that game, and turned it over 17 times. You don't win or keep yourself in very many ball games like that.
Chris Heron needs to be better than a 66% shooter the way he can stroke it. Well, he misses both of them.
There is a sense of urgency now for the Bulldogs if they want to get in this game.
Dickel dribbles away from the trap, kicks it. Nesby.
Jackknifing his way through traffic.
Now that's a slasher.
And the finisher.
Vegas by a dozen. McCullough stopping, nowhere to go except for Heron. Banks it beautifully, and Chris with 20 tonight, but a long way to go for the Dogs.
Yeah, they need some defensive pressure.
Good job by Dickel. Rosegreen still hasn't scored in this half, and Lane fouled on the offensive rebound. It'll be on Darnell McCullough. Nope, it'll be on 24, Chris Heron. That will be Chris's 4th. McCullough has 4. Macklin has 4. And the lights are getting a little dim for Fresno State here in Vegas.
Well, some people might ask, why are the Red Rebels taking a shot? Well, the reason you do is because the pressure is trying to slow you down. And if you get the ball in the front court, you have a chance to go 3-on-2 and get the ball up on the glass.
With this one, 17 more attempts at the free throw line by the home team. Tony Lane with just 5 on the night. Bill Bano with a big lead is still working hard with 1:21 remaining.
Well, I really like the job that Bill Bano and his crew have done here.
Rosegreen rejected and caught by Rasan Smith.
Another offensive rebound by Warren Rosegreen.
You know, 3 threes, and they still come up short, but there's one of them by Heron. He has 23. Tark still has a couple of full timeouts remaining. Heron with the steal.
There's no 20-second left.
Did he call the timeout before he came down?
He tried to get one, but he stepped out of bounds, so it nullifies everything, but he tried to get a 20-second. They didn't have one.
Looks like Tarkanian wants to use his first full timeout with 1:01 remaining. Well, it's an 8-point spread. The Rebels aren't done yet. Their 3-point shooting's been a nightmare. They need it now to get back in. Vegas by 8 over Fresno with 61 ticks to go. Our late Sports Center's coming up with Rich Eisen and Stuart Scott. A huge one, 9 players involved with Jersey and Dallas today. Tigers and Jayhawks, Jerome Bettis inking a new contract. It's all coming your way with a whole lot more. Those are the Rojos. Now, rojo in Spanish means red, but they did tell me before the game, no, it's Rojo. They're the answer to the Dukies and Missouri's Antlers out here in Vegas. So Duke and Missouri, you got a little competition when it comes to crazy fans in the corner of the court. Well, Billy Bano looking pretty sedate with an 8-point lead, a minute to go.
Well, he's got control of this game. All they have to do, get it in the offensive set and make some free throws down the stretch.
Nesby, the kick, lane, that should do it. And Jermaine Smith nearly the steal. 49 seconds remaining. Vegas back on top by 10. If this holds up, there will be a second-place tie in the WAC Pacific Division.
And Billy Bano is still coaching all the way to the end.
Heron. Nesby. Sunshine. And he's going to wait and draw the foul.
I thought he was going to throw it back to Rosgreen.
Dominic Young with the foul. UNLV will go to 8-4. Fresno will fall to 8-4 in the league. Warren Rosgreen with a career high 21 rebounds tonight. His previous 19.
He did a terrific job in establishing early that he wanted to be aggressive. He wanted to go after every ball, whether it was on the board or on the floor.
And Damon Forney, nothing tonight except a few rebounds. But you made the point early. There's no way Warren Rosgreen could do all night what he did in the first half. No man has that much energy. But he has hung around, he's contributed, and what a night. And this will be a rare 2-game losing streak at the Thomas and Mack Center for Tark.
Yes, it will.
30 seconds to go. Vegas by 12. And a foul by Chris Heron. He fouls out.
Well, Jerry Tarkanian is certainly going to go back to the drawing board and get ready for the next game, but he had a couple of guys come in, and you mentioned it earlier, Bob, the fact that he felt like his team had a good practice this week, and when they had good practice, they didn't play well in the games, and when they've had some weeks of very poor practices, they've come out and played extremely well in games.
National title in 1990. When they went 35-5. In 91, they were 34-0 when Tark lost to Duke in the semis. Bobby Hurley drove everybody crazy. And then Duke went on their great run. Well, maybe Vegas basketball is on the way back. I really think they've got the right guy in there. Billy Bano, nobody will outwork him. He's young, he's hungry. And that's what this program needs. It didn't work out for Wally Massimino out here. The Vegas style really was not his style.
No, I didn't think it was. And they also had briefly, he didn't actually practice any games. Tim Gergerich, who was an assistant for the Sonics, he never actually came in and took control of this job. But after Jerry Tarkanian, it's hard to fill those shoes.
Brooks, way out there missing the three. Nesby has it. The Rebels cruising home here. Jermaine Smith from the corner, air ball, Nesby, showtime. Rasan Smith, 18 for him, 3.5 seconds to go. Tark has thrown in the towel.
It's time.
78-64. UNLV and a big win for Bill Bano. Now they're tied for second.
Bill Bano did a terrific job of getting his guys up early for this game, and they put it away in the first half.
They're on the floor at the Thomas and Mack Center. That's a pretty good celebration for a second-place team. Vegas 78, Fresno 64. Sports Center, by the way, is coming up next. And for Derek Dickey and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Bob Carpenter. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Good night from Vegas.